So Sumbra Head is Sumeria. The Shetland Islands, Babylon. The pie grid is the 357 degree grid that lays out all the stone circles across this country and worldwide. They all line up. Can you see that? So you've heard of a ley line. Whole ley, half ley, core ley. One-seventh of the great circle north of the equator. 1/17th of a great circle north of the Great Pyramid. Stonehenge. So I've been all around the south of England for more than 20 years to the sacred sites. I don't have a vast knowledge of the sacred sites, but what I do have is a theoretical understanding of how it is that this line, which is a ley line, a straight line, the longest straight line that one can draw in the British Isles, this line, the Michael line and the Michael and Mary line, Michael and Mary Earth energy currents, they are like snakes in the ground, moving worldwide. The straight line made of churches is the ley line with the node points, and there are 21 node points across this line here. Glastonbury Tor is here, down this way, and Stonehenge is below, but Avebury is part of the Michael and Mary Earth energy currents. Avebury is the cathedral, Stonehenge is the church, but Stonehenge has more worldwide fame. So you can see here there's the 33rd degree, which comes from the 360 degree modern grid, and there's also the 11th degree, and the two together make the rungs of a ladder. So there are 3 villages, here, here and here, called Jacob's Ladder. This is the original Egypt, A and E together, combined. So this is the flagpole, and this is the flag. The flag covers Palestine, which means in Latin between the walls, the Hadrian Wall and the Antonine Wall. So these walls we're taught in school were built 2,000 years ago by the Romans, who came in from Italy. They invaded, there was a bit of a skirmish up here, so they built one wall, built another wall, keep them out. That's our history, right? Everybody born in the sort of 50s, 60s, 70s onwards, presumably, though who knows what they're teaching the kids, knows that. That's history, right? You might not be a historical expert, but you have got some idea. So when someone comes along and says, actually, that's all quite possibly just totally made up as of only a few hundred years ago, it's a bit of a shock. And nobody likes shocks. Nobody likes to be wrong. Nobody likes to be laughed at. And nobody wishes to hold a contrary view when it's wrong. And that's just normal human nature. So the issue is, what have they hidden from us and why? And who is they and who is us? And more to the point, it's not who is us, but who is you? Who are yous? Well, Robert the Bruce. Now there's a chap. Here we have Annan. And we've got various stones here. And this is where they crossed the Reed Sea, here on the Rose Line. The Rose Line is being built on by nuclear power station builders. That's what they say. EDF. Électricité de France. Financed by the Chinese military. It's globalism. This country has been very difficult to control, and the reason why they love to control it is because of its history. And it has history because it has energy. Originally, the energy comes from the George Channel, which is where you've got a gyre, a Gyre, that moves the water around with the tides in and out, and it brings up the sediment, and the waters are very rich with fish. So for thousands of years, everyone's camped out around the fish pond, the George's Channel. George's fishing. That's why it's called the George's Channel. That's where George used to fish. And here we've got Dundreich. Now that is at the top of a massive 3, 4, 5 triangle. So you have 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5 relative units. And this line goes all the way to the top of the Giza Pyramid. And there are 85 churches, roughly, on this line. The hypotenuse line. Or the temple line. Now, it's not the line per se, it's the knowledge that the earth is living and needs caring for, like you care for your car. Now, one of the most important things about a car is it runs smooth, and an unbalanced wheel, you take it to the shop, they put some lead weights on it, then it runs smooth if it's unbalanced. When you change a tyre, that's what you do. So those lead weights on that tyre, and this is my theory, are like all of these stone circles. Stones, heavyweights. That's what they were doing, in my view. They were smoothing the harmonic resonance of the earth as an offering to her, because she holds everything that we love. So basically reducing earthquakes. That would be my hypothesis. So the ancients loved perpetual peace, perpetual harmony. And now our species has created a major crisis for itself. A crisis in control, a crisis in resourcing, population, suffering, poverty, war. All of these things. And a big part of it is to do with the calendar. Because the calendar is all about timing. And why is timing important? Well, it's all important. You don't get £20 million transfer fee as the best striker in the English team unless you can kick the ball into the back of the net right at the end of the World Cup. So this is the original Rome, because in Gaelic, Letha means Rome. Letha is Leith. Edinburgh is Jerusalem. Now this was a map on the wall of my friend Dave Ritchie. And he used to live here in the Skye. It's a long way to Skye. He used to live about there. born here, Sellafield, Whitehaven. Actually, I lived in Bekermet. There you go. Calder Hall, they called it for a while. It's the biggest and the first nuclear facility in the world. At least that's what they say it is. And there's the Rose Line. So the Rose Line is 440 seconds west of the prime meridian. So it's a Terry's orange with 42 slices, imagine that. And it divides exactly according to pi. So the 42 stations of the Exodus. Exodus happened from Egypt to the Promised Land. We're taught at school. They didn't lie to us at school. It's just a story that's been told over and over again for hundreds of years, 1650 years roughly. And these stations of the Exodus, they still exist today. There's Jericho. Remember the walls of Jericho? So there we have the Saltires Centre. And this is the Rose Line. Now Dave reverse engineered the pi grid, which is thousands of years old, and he did it by examining the maths behind the geometric shapes that were used by the master architect who laid down the Giza Plateau. That architect, according to Dave, would have come from what is today modern day Scotland, probably 5,000 years ago. The Druids who built Henge and Avebury and all of those things, all of those stone circles. But they knew that the 3-4-5 triangle, which is 3, 4, 5, a flat plane laid on what is a flattened spheroid. At least that's what we think. 3D, if you like. Now, at the top of the Giza Pyramid is a marker, and that is a point that is in the middle of the landmass of this planet. It's on the prime meridian, which runs north-south. There's more land underneath this line here, north to south pole, than there is under any of the other lines that you could draw around the oblate sphere. It's the same with longitude and latitude as well. So this line here is the one that has 85 churches on it. So that tells you a lot. And you see around the wash, they pick it up again. Now the churches may not know what's going on, but there will have been a sacred site marker there that the churches would have built over. And Dave was big on the signals, because if you think about it, a lot of this is map the space and then chart the time with star flow by observations of stars. So they'd have families dedicated to observing specific stars at specific times in specific places year on year, century after century. Because obviously the study of the stars is a study of the firmament and of divine creator. reality. What scientists would marvel at if they were deeply into ecology, for example. The numinous, the inexpressible, whatever it is that makes that dog so beautiful, that tree so beautiful. It's divine. All of creation is like that. So they would do stargazing. And the stargazing would be on that pool there, the reflecting pool at Whitby Abbey. And the true cross is not the Saltaire, that one, but this one here, look. Where is it? It's there. The true cross is Templar Cross Wood. Where is Templar Cross Wood? Right next to the ski slope. So if we go on the ring road, which is the road here, we put our little man on there. Boom. As you go around the ring road, you can't see it here. As you go around the ring road, you can see the ski slope and the wood. On the Rose Line. This is the secret of the British Isles. It's Upper, Middle and Lower Britain. The estates of Scotland and England are estates with an E. They are not states. You're being conned. You don't live in a state. And this is such a big con that people just can't compute it. They cannot compute. Told something your whole life, and then suddenly you're told it's not true. How do you feel? You feel like you've been conned your whole life, or better still, don't feel. Just be numb. That's what most people do. Numb it out. Numb it out with booze, dopamine, whatever. It's okay to feel good now and again, but not every day. Gotta feel a bit of pain. So the Zionists, who are they? Well, they're the ones that are holding on to the fake Mount Zion. The fake Mount Zion is not, where is it now? Anything other than Edinburgh Castle. Now, where is Edinburgh Castle? Let's have a look. Can we see Edinburgh Castle? It must be there somewhere. There's Morningside. So Edinburgh Castle, Dundee Street. There it is. This is the fake Mount Zion. Edinburgh Castle. The military tattoo and the Royal Mile. And this is ancient Jerusalem, written up in the Bible. These are the walls and the gates into the walls. Amazing, huh? Waverley Station. And there is the ancient biblical port of Joppa. That's where it's always been. In Joppa. Just down the road from Boity Blue, where my uncle lives. Come there for a long time. So the issue, or not the issue, but the promise is that these 42 stations of the Exodus, they have names which correspond biblically. Cramond Hill, Almon, so they're not exact, but you can see in the 42 of them that some of them are the same, so you need a study of that. But the point being that the names of these little villages have gematria, which is the same as the numbers in this grid, which shows for a fact, a provable mathematical fact, that this is Palestine, right here, the Holy Land, Solomon's Temple. Trump doesn't need to build a third Solomon's Temple. He just needs to realise where the original one is. And it's right there. And guess what? The Union Jack covers it, which is the next one. The Union Jack, or the Union Jacob, covers Palestine. So there are always fundamental divisions, it seems, in whatever Homo sapiens get up to. Black, white, yellow, whatever. We're a tenacious bunch. And we're not really controllable, unless, of course, we're told to wear a mask. And then, of course, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 ranks, full, sir. We stand under the flag, the Queen, God, etc. Now, this is interesting, very interesting, because the white line on the Union Jacob actually corresponds to rock. See the rock strata there? Now, okay, it doesn't correspond exactly, but you'll be able to see what I mean. There's the pillars. The pillars of Solomon's Temple. This is what they put in for calculations. Hadrian's Wall and the Antonine Wall. And there is the bedrock. You can't argue with bedrock. You can't argue with the bedrock flag, the Union Jacob. You can't argue with it. Why is that? Because we love our country, isn't it? That's right, people. And what is our country? Our country is the Holy Land. We've got the best cathedrals in existence. I wonder why that is. I wonder why. Could it be true? Okay, so let's do some critical thinking here. What does that mean? It means not falling into the trap of belief. Is it right? Is it wrong? Is this true or is this false? Yes, there are truths and there are falsities. Outright falsities. Outright truth. This is a truth because you can prove it. Now, most people don't understand the distinction between maths and science. In science, it is not possible to prove anything. For the topic to be amenable to scientific investigation, it has to be capable of being disproved. So you have a hypothesis, a null hypothesis, you disprove the null hypothesis, and the hypothesis elevates the status of theory, and if it keeps going up, it goes to law, but it never goes to theorem, because that's not science, that's maths. Maths requires mathematical proof, and that is what the pie grid does. Mathematical. So, why release this information now? It's utterly critical information that everybody has got to get their head around. Because, here it is, people. Okay, so, we'll just try that hat on for size, shall we? The one with the Union Jack on it. That one. The unmentionable one. The possible scenario that this might actually be bedrock of understanding of where we're at. Because if you can get it that the bedrock fits with the Union Jack, and it does, then that means that all of what comes around it has a weight of truth in it. Because there's the bedrock there, look. See, it's wide, and then it goes narrow all the way up to Dunbar, the road to Damascus, because this is the original Syria. You see the fat white bit and the thin white bit. Do you get it? Okay, so there's definitely some similarities there. Mad, isn't it? Absolutely mad when you think about it. So if that's a flagpole, and there are 3 villages called Jacob's Ladder around here, that goes all the way down to the Sahara. Then maybe they're just right. Maybe there is something to this. In which case, if the original Jerusalem of the Bible was here, and they knew about it and still do, that's got to mean one thing for sure. If they know about it and they're not telling us, that would make them, well, they know the truth and we don't, which makes them in that category of classification, the truth, elite or true. They know the truth and we don't. Therefore, we must be the untruth tellers. Well, not necessarily, no. We believed a lie. That's what it means. It's not the truth that hurts. It's the lies that you believe that hurt. For example, the word mortgage. It's a presumption. And the word money. Legally speaking, it's a presumption. The word debt, legally speaking, is a presumption. Right, so they lied to us about that, have they? Right, what else have they lied to us about? That's the next logical question, isn't it? Well, what else have they lied to us about? That's right. Absolutely everything. Even that, maybe. It's all just a computer program called Google Earth.